Good evening, NBT Nation. It's Adam Spack, certified no boring trainer here with a random pop up Wednesday night live here in the United States. Wanted to pop on real quick. I've got a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I had a good friend of mine, Joe Murphy, fellow L&D professional, on the channel for an episode of NBT Talks. We were talking about building trust with leadership. Had a great conversation. If you didn't watch that video, be sure to go and watch it. I'll put links in the show notes. From that, though, I've been thinking about what can we do to build trust with leadership in our organizations as corporate trainers. What can we do to really win them over, to build trust in ourselves and in the idea of training as a solution? What can we do to encourage them to say, hey, you know what, I've got this problem. Maybe training is a piece of solving that problem. So that's what we're going to unpack here in BT Nation, here on this Wednesday night pop-up live. If you find this sort of content interesting, of course, subscribe to the channel, like, leave me comments, all of that kind of fun stuff. So what are some things we can do? I want to kind of go even above and beyond my conversation with Joe the other day. What are the things we can do as corporate trainers that erode the trust of leadership in our companies? What are the things we can do that cause leaders to resist us? Well, the number one mistake corporate trainers can make is we don't network. We don't build the relationships inside the organizations. We don't reach out to leadership. We don't try to get time with them. We don't try to get to know them, even just on a quick personal level, passing in the hallway type thing. Seeing them in the lunchroom, cafeteria, saying hello, let alone, can I have 15 minutes of your time? I want to learn a little bit about you and your department. What are some of the challenges you face? Kind of explore if training could be of a solution to you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'd like to get to know you a little bit. Sometimes as trainers, we silo ourselves a little bit. I know I'm guilty of this, NBT Nation. The other piece of this, not networking, is not networking with people we don't see eye to eye with, or that we don't really care for, or people who just sort of don't agree with the whole mission of training anyway. The leaders that sort of resist training and aren't interested in corporate training, who fight us, who never want to participate, they don't show up to meetings, all that. We don't network with them. And again, I'm speaking on behalf of myself here, but I think as trainers, that's a very natural reaction. We either don't network in general, or when we do, we gravitate towards the leaders that we like or that recognize the value of training. And there's a big mistake there, because we need to get to know those leaders. We need to understand what makes them tick. We need to understand the challenges those leaders face, the pressures that they're under, the opportunities that they see for their team. We need to spend time cultivating that, let alone demonstrating we know what we're talking about. We know how to get the job done. We can quickly propose solutions. And you can't do any of that if you're not spending any time with leadership. So, first mistake we can make as corporate trainers, not networking with leadership in general, or avoiding those we don't necessarily get along with or who don't like training. That's a huge mistake in BT Nation. Don't make that mistake. Like I said, that's when I wrestle with people who are dismissive of training, or when I'm working on a project and half the group is excited about training and half the group is not. I tend to follow up with those who really like training and believe in it, and then maybe over time not follow up so much with those who don't. And that's my mistake. I need to do a better job of that. Um, And you can imagine from the leader's perspective, if somebody they see a corporate trainer who never asks them any questions, who doesn't bother to understand their group, spend any time with them, ask any questions, of course, they're not going to naturally want to reach out to you then when you have to work on something. So anyway, I think pretty straightforward. A lack of networking can lead to an erosion of trust. So don't do that, NBT Nation. Do not do that. So number two, I'm looking at my notes over here. The second biggest mistake we can make as corporate trainers is not focusing on business problems. At the end of the day, we are there to help the people in the organization grow, develop, get stronger, perform at a higher level, be safer, be more efficient, whatever, find happiness and self actualization in their job roles. We are part of that process, but we're also there to move the business forwards. We ain't there just teaching people because it's fun to do. We're there to help achieve business outcomes, or at least we're supposed to be, those of us in the corporate training roles. When you are talking to leaders, if you're not focused on solving business problems that those leaders care about, that's going to erode the trust. That is going to erode the belief that training can be of value to them. If you're not talking about revenue and profit and efficiency and talent retention and customer satisfaction and cost of goods sold and EBITDA and all these sort of business topics, if you're not savvy to what those are and how your training touches on some of those things, you're going to erode the trust of leaders because their job is to move the business forwards. So, corporate trainers out there, the more you can understand business problems, understand how your organization works. That's one of the hard truths of being a certified no boring trainer. It's truth number 12. You got to know and understand how your organization works and fits together. And by doing all that and focusing in on business problems, you are going to win over more leaders to say, hey, maybe training is part of what my team needs. If they're trying to improve the efficiency in their organization, but nobody understands how to get important processes done, well, guess what? Assuming that those processes are documented and codified, guess what? They probably haven't been communicated, taught, upheld, practiced, none of that. Well, there's a way to be more efficient. If you have a lot of turnover, you can do culture related training in your organization or skills building training in your organization. If you have a lot of also turnover, you can look at leadership. That's a direct pathway to dealing with retention issues. If you have profitability problems, well, you can increase revenue by increasing sales and doing sales training or customer service training or things like that. Or you can, again, go back to the efficiency and look at maybe doing some training out on your production staff. Just some different ideas, but you got to be talking business problems and understand business to build the trust with leadership that you're interfacing with as a corporate trainer. So spend some time getting to know and understand the business. And then when you talk to those leaders, talk in terms of business problems, not whiz bang training solutions, not a bunch of jargon, not a lot of acronyms and fancy blooms, this and Kirk, none of that. Your team is struggling to complete processes effectively and safely, or your team's having a quality issue. Let's talk about that and really dive into understanding the business problem. Then, at some point, recognizing where training fits in and recommending training solutions. So, there you go. Don't focus or not networking as problem number one. And problem number two is not focusing on business problems. We're talking here on tonight's pop up MBT Live. What are some of the things we do as corporate trainers that can erode the trust of leadership? Those are two of them. The third one, not speaking the language of leadership. And it's kind of loosely tied to this idea of business problems. And I started to kind of ease into it with the previous point. The more we talk about Bloom's this and Addie's that, and we talk in the language of learning and Maslow's and classroom management and chunking and scaffolding, leaders don't care about any of that. None of it. Zero. Save all that talk for us in BT Nation. Save that for when you're talking to other trainers or you're doing a train the trainer workshop. But when you're talking to leaders, you need to speak their language. So again, it goes back to the other idea of understanding the organization, understanding what piece of the organization that leader is responsible for. It really depends on or really ties into understanding the objectives of that leader in their little chunk of the business? What are metrics are they using to measure the performance in that organization? What are some of the key ethos ideas that the organization or that team uses? What are some of the pressing short-term, midterm, and long-term opportunities that leader has or challenges that leader has? Speak their language. Speak like you're a business grad, not that you just went through a train the trainer course. The more you sound like a leader when you talk to a leader, the more you talk in business language. It kind of ties into point number two, which is point number two is you focus on business problems. But if you want to erode trust with a leader, hit them with a fire hose of trainer talk. They will glaze over almost instantly. Most of them will. Start speaking their language. What's their hiring cycle? What's their retention rate? Who are their key leaders? Who are their rising stars? Who are some of their problem children? What are what are the job titles of the people in their team and using those job titles correctly? What are some of the day-to-day issues of that team or that leader? Go talk to that group's field managers and frontline contributors so that you're getting factual data right from the frontline user, that so when you talk to the leader you're using current examples and current anecdotes and current information. We talk about training to be effective. One of the six pillars of effective and interesting training, by the way, there's a free course available on the website, he said pluggingly. But one of the is it's got to be real, relatable, and relevant. Well, the same thing is true when you talk to leaders. So talk their language. If you don't talk the language of leadership, you will cause them to zone out, not pay attention, glaze over. Very few leaders are going to want to go down that rabbit hole with you. They have a job to do. How can you help them do their job through the vehicle of training? Focus in on that. So speak their language. The more you talk to them, business person to business person, and then you're starting to make your recommendations. Hey, what I'm hearing you say is you have a problem with X, assuming it's a training problem. I'm hearing that the problem is X. Here's a solution. Why? Maybe it's worth giving a consideration to. So there you have it. There's number three. Number four, keep things simple. Sometimes as trainers, and when I say sometimes as trainers, I mean me. I'm speaking directly to myself here, NBT Nation. Sometimes as trainers, we do overcomplicate things. Not everything has to be a classroom training. Not everything needs to be a hands-on, all hands on deck, company-wide, big fly everybody in conference room style national event thing. Not everything needs a 42 week run up prep time. Sometimes quick, easy, down and dirty. It may not be the best quality or the best fully evolved training solution. Sometimes quick and simple gets the job done. Focus on simple solutions. Get really good at making quick, simple solutions. I'd rather solve 80% of a problem quickly than 100% of the problem. It takes me 5 years to get it done. And I can guarantee you leaders in a business setting want that same thing. Now, of course, if I can solve 100% of the problem very, very quickly, that's better, of course. But in this hypothetical, if I can solve 80% of the problem in a day or two and 100% of the problem over 5 years, give me the 80% improvement in 2 days. They want simple. They want fast. They do not want cumbersome, complicated, or costly. And training does not need to be cumbersome, complicated, or costly. Not every solution needs the $20,000 software purchase. Not every training solution needs, like I said, airline travel. Keep things simple. You're having a problem with retention. Let's look at onboarding. Boom. Keep it simple, both in your conversations, your proposed solutions, and then the ultimate solution that you provide the customer or the contact. Keep it simple. One of the other hard truths of becoming a certified no boring trainer is getting really good at doing designs for trainings quickly is going to make you a far better trainer than a lot of other stuff that we spend time on. You know, much more of an impact getting really good at quickly hearing what a leader is dealing with, really gathering the facts, doing a quick analysis, an effective analysis, but a quick one, and then quickly coming up with a design. Getting good at that is going to help move you forwards way more quickly than spending 20,000 hours coming up with the greatest animation ever or the coolest transition on an explainer video or any of that other stuff. Focus on getting really good at doing designs of training solutions very, very quickly and communicating those designs back to leadership in a very simple way. Keeping it simple. Here's the problem. Here is the solution. Here is what I'm proposing. Give you a quick example. Had a leader reach out to me at a different organization and they wanted to do some um, training for their team. It's a team that's inbound or it's inside an office and it's loosely sales related. We'll just say that. They wanted to get this training going pretty quickly. So my solution or suggestion that we ended up implementing at this organization was why can't we use the team chat feed, do a slow drip campaign of very targeted, very short messages or very short trainings, micro learnings. They drop at the beginning of the week. The leader of that group then follows up throughout the week to do coaching one-on-one discussions. And then at the end of the week, we'll get together and do a sort of a quick wrap up type conversation as a team, myself as the trainer, the leader of that group, and then the group will get together at the end of the week. So chat feed, they do some coaching. We do a quick meeting at the end of the week. I mean, I can roll that out tomorrow. Now, if I said, hey, let's do a 4-day workshop that's in person, well, guess what? Now you're getting on airplanes. Now you're booking hotel rooms. Now you got other people. You got everybody traveling. You're pulling the people offline for big periods of time. And how are you going to have coverage in the rotation? And we would have talked about it for 7 more months. Instead, quick, easy, simple solution that's going to be effective. So there you go. Keep things simple. The simpler, the better in a business type setting. So there you have it. A failure to network, that is going to erode trust with leadership in a training environment. Not focusing on business problems absolutely will undermine your credibility as a trainer. It will erode trust. Not speaking the language of leaders, not keeping things simple and complicating things. Those are things that are going to erode trust. And conversely, if you do those things well, it will build trust. It will give you more opportunities. So then lastly, we get to number 5, not painting a picture of the journey to the outcome. Here's what I mean by that. Not painting a picture on the journey to the outcome. A mistake I think that a lot of trainers make is they get very embroiled in the mechanics of how the training is going to unfold. I'll do an icebreaker, and then I'm going to do a housekeeping session, and then I'm going to do asynchronous this and synchronous that. I'm going to obviously throwing those terms out inappropriately, but I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, then I'll do an activity, and then I'm going to do a breakout session, and then I'm going to do a Socratic delivery, and then I'm going to bring the group together and debrief them, and I'm dip, 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 dip. That, in my opinion and experience, makes leaders very nervous, or at a very minimum, it undermines trust. When the leader is saying, here's my problem. I think training is a solution. How are you going to solve this problem? When you start going down the road of here is the play by play of what I'm going to do, two things happen. One is either they don't care, and now you're going to bore them to death. you're going to you're going to you're going to waste a lot of time, or they are going to get focused in on why you're doing the things you're doing from a mechanics perspective, classroom management perspective, agenda method, why you're building up the learning journey. Well, why are you doing this topic instead of this topic? Well, yeah, but I got to do this topic first to set the stage to get to this topic. Oh, well, no, I think it should be in this order. No, it should be in that order. Oh, why are you doing a group breakout session? Oh, are you going to talk about this? Or are you going to talk about, the more you talk about mechanics, the more that's what they're going to focus on. Either they won't care, which is going to build resistance, or they will get very hyper focused in on the details. And that's not where you want to be. What they want are solutions to problems, and they want outcomes. Focus on the outcome. I mean, it goes back to how do you plan an effective training when you're putting the A in Addy, when you're doing your analysis. What is the outcome you want to achieve from this training? What is it you want people to walk away from, Mr. or Miss Leader? What is it that they should learn, know, be aware of, be able to do, stop doing, start doing because of this training, blah, blah, all those questions, right? The more you can paint the picture of how you're going to get them there without getting into the step-by-step details, the better. The more you're going to build trust. And here's kind of what that looks like. Instead of, like I was just kind of walking through, instead of, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and here's my agenda, and then I'm going to do this and that, and I'm going to play a video because it's really engaging and blah, blah, blah. Instead of all that, what you want to do is, the goal is to increase people's comfort level doing X. So I have designed a training that focuses on getting comfortable doing X. It is a mixture of a little bit of classroom instruction, some hands-on activity, and then we're going to do a group exercise that then gives them the chance to practice X. The goal is that by the end of the morning, they're going to be able to do blah, blah, blah. And by the end of the afternoon session, they're going to be able to do blah, blah, blah. Something like that. Now, some of you out there in MBT Nation might be saying, you know what? Those aren't that different. And you know what? You're kind of right. But the big difference between going through step by step by step by step by step by step of the agenda and instead painting more of a broad picture. Hey, by the end of the morning, we're going to be able to do this. By the end of the afternoon, we're going to be able to do this. And I really want to focus on one or two big picture techniques to get them there. What that does, I want to get them by the end of the morning to be able to do X. Now the leader is thinking, oh, okay, in just a short period of time, my team is going to go from here to here. In just a morning's period of time, they're going to go from not being able to do this at all to starting to be able to do this. My team's going to go from doing this all the time to doing this a little bit less. By the, after the morning, they're going to know the procedure. And then in the afternoon, we're going to practice it. So you're keeping it kind of high level, but you're painting a picture of the journey. It's a 3-day workshop. By the end of day 1, they'll do this. By the end of day 2, they'll do this. And by the end of day 3, they'll do this. If it's a week-long thing, by Monday, they'll do this. By Wednesday, they'll do this. By Friday, they'll do that. Paint a picture of the journey to the outcome. Don't get stuck in the step-by-step instruction of how you're going to get to the outcome. When you start painting a picture of the journey, that's when leaders start to get excited. They don't really care about how the sausage is made. They just want to know that you're going to have some sausage. So give them that. Now, there's caveats. Every leader is different. Some might want to go down the details. Some may want to review the agenda. Even when they want to review the agenda, I try to talk in terms of painting a picture of the outcome How am I going, this is the outcome I'm aiming for, and here is just kind of the high level summary of how I'm going to get to that outcome. Even when the customer or coworker is saying, "Oh, walk me through step by step." I'll start off step by step and then, well, first let me give you a high level summary, then I'll go back and give you the step by step, something like that. So everything's a compromise, right? Some people are going to want to break down, some people won't care at all, whatever. But the more you focus in on the painting the picture, here's how I'm going to get you to the outcome I want, because that's really all they care about. They want their team to grow and develop. They want them to learn a new skill. They want them to be aware of something. They want them to start doing something, stop doing something, blah, all the things. That's what they want. And they're trusting you to get them there. And when you talk about the milestones and the big picture steps of how you're going to get there, as opposed to the detailed minutia, well, the room is going to be in a U shape instead of a theater style. It's going to be a U shape instead of a theater style seating. You're going to get bogged down in the weeds if you do that. So stay at the big picture. So there you have it. NBT Nation, a random Wednesday night pop up live. Here are the things that are going to erode trust with leaders. Not networking, or when you do network, you really concentrate on the people that you like and who believe in training. Not focusing on business problems. Not speaking the language of that leader. Not keeping things simple, and not painting a picture of the journey to the outcomes or even just the outcomes, but instead getting stuck down in the weeds. Those are the things we can do as trainers that will erode trust. Now, the flip side of all that is true as well. If we really force ourselves to go out and network and spend time getting to know the leaders and learning what their challenges are, we're going to find and recognize more opportunities for learning and training to be used. If we really focus on those business problems, we're going to make better trainings. It's one of the core tenets of being a certified no boring trainer, is to solve business problems. Strategic learning is all about solving business problems. So the other flip side, when you speak the language of leaders, now you're talking as peers, as equals, as colleagues, as people just trying to work together to help solve some problems, help a team grow, what have you. When you speak the language of that leader, it gets you into that equal playing field. Keeping things simple. When you make it simple, it's easier for them to buy in. It's easier for them to understand what you're proposing. And frankly, as corporate trainers, it's easier for you to execute on. And most corporate training departments are understaffed and overworked. So why make it harder on yourself by coming up with some crazy training design that's going to take 9 trillion hours of work to put together and execute? Keep things simple. Now, I'm not saying cut corners and make it not effective, but when you keep things simple, you can not only solve more problems with training, you get more opportunities, and it's less output and effort for you. And then lastly, got a nose itch here. I think I might sneeze, NBT Nation. When you start painting pictures of the outcomes, you get leaders excited. And when you get a leader excited about the training that you're collaborating on, then they're going to support it more. They're going to promote it more. They're going to put more resources behind it. When you get a leader excited about the outcome, they buy in more. So this whole NBT Live has really been the things we do that erode trust. But if you flip it on the positive sides of things, some tremendous benefits start to come. There you have it, NBT Nation. Wednesday night, pop up live. The 5 things we can do to erode trust in training with our leadership groups. And then when you flip them on their head, 5 amazing benefits that you can get when you do things right in terms of leadership. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me some comments in the chat feed. If you are watching this on a replay, do the same things. Leave some comments, and we can get some conversation going here. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, you can always visit the home of NBT, noboringtraining.com. That's noboringtraining.com, where there's all sorts of free resources, tools, downloadable things for trainers and leaders alike. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hopefully, you have a wonderful rest of your night. Thanks, MBT Nation. Talk soon.